You know, what's funny is I watched most of Doug and Rob's sibling rivalry review on the 2017 live-action remake of Disney's animated classic Beauty and the Beast. I heard what Andre Meadows had to say in his review, and I'm sure others have their difference of opinions. Some say that Disney has hit it out of the park. Some say that Disney, did a decent job, and there are some that have mixed reactions. But I think the biggest takeaway from all of this, even though I have not yet seen it, but my sisters did, ironically, they wanted us to go with them, and we just didn't answer the phone. And quite frankly, I think my mom didn't really want to have to go to Riverside or wherever they went to go see it. So, anyway, to me, I think the biggest thing about the Beauty and the Beast movie is, unlike Jungle Book, unlike Cinderella, and unlike Sleeping Beauty, right now mostly Cinderella and Jungle Book, I think the biggest takeaway from both movies, both remake adaptations in the form of the Jungle Book 2016, as well as Maleficent. I think the biggest takeaway, folks, if you want my honest opinion, is the differences. That's what it is. It's the differences in the movie, and you can kind of see, and you kind of can tell maybe where I'm going with this. But basically, what it is when it comes to the films is one. This is one. The movies sometimes will be, the live action remakes will be a lot longer than said movies. Like Maleficent, for example, is 97 minutes. And it's basically a different interpretation of of Sleeping Beauty, I should say. Yeah, that's what it is. Maleficent is Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella is Cinderella. You kind of get the idea. And Sleeping Beauty, when it came out, its original runtime was 75 minutes. So basically you have Maleficent at a runtime of 22 minutes more. Cinderella, I'm pretty sure, is in that same vein. Now, I don't have the live-action movie on hand, just, as I speak. But the original film ran for about 75 minutes. Now, I'm pretty sure the live-action film ran a lot longer. Then you take a look at the Jungle Book. Again, another movie I don't have either the live-action or the animated version of. But the live-action one, no doubt you can already tell when you watch it on Netflix, because you can watch it on Netflix, is a lot longer than the original animated Disney film. And then you take a look at Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast. Here's a movie that's a live-action remake of a 1991 animated Disney classic, which, oh, by the way, was nominated for Best Picture that year, for that season. And its original runtime was 85 minutes. That's right, its original runtime was 85 minutes. And the runtime for Beauty and the Beast 2017, the live-action remake, 2 hours, 10 minutes. Yeah, 2 hours, 10 minutes. So, compare that. 2 hours is 120 minutes. 2 hours and 10 is 130. So basically, you are adding on to this 50 minutes or 45 minutes more of story. 45 minutes more of story. That is what you are adding on to the live action remake. You're adding in 45 minutes more of exposition, 45 minutes more of character development, I guess you could say. Just 45 minutes more of movie. That is what you've added on. That is what you've added on. You've added on basically 45 minutes more of movie. Yeah. Because basically think of it this way. 90 minutes is an hour and 30. 100 minutes is an hour 40. 110 is an hour 50. Okay? 120 is 2 hours. So you add 10 more minutes to that. 2 hours and 10 minutes, that's 130 minutes. You compare that to basically the hour and 25-minute film. Yeah. If you added 15 more minutes, if you will, you would have an hour extra more of movie. But you have 45 minutes more addition to the live action remake. And here's why that's a big difference. Here's why I think that's the real reason people are kind of indifferent about this movie. Why some people like it, some people don't, why people are just mixed about it. It's because of the fact that you're taking an iconic film, an iconic animated film, you're remaking it, and not only are you remaking it, and you're reusing the same songs as in the original, as well as adding a few more, as well as adding in one or two more to kind of make it a little bit more different. You're basically trying to turn essentially a nice family film, family animated film, into a freaking epic. That's what you're doing. You're trying to turn it into a major epic film. And I think that's one of the distractions about it. I think that's the distraction well, it's not just a distraction, but I think that's the one big difference between it. You add in certain moments, you add in more exposition, you add in more padding, you do things that are not necessary, according to some people. You cut away from some things that didn't need to be cut away from. And all this because you want to add on more. All this because you're using that time, even if it's by a few moments or a few seconds or a minute, you're using it to expand the story even more so. You know, some people will say, well, from what people have reviewed and talked about, adding in the whole, you know, expanded flashback of how the beast became who he is as a result of the enchantress. You know, some people will say, yeah, that was cool. It was nice that they did that. And some will be like, no, it was more simpler the way it was. It was simpler, it was easier, it was more understandable. Yet here, you went and decided to add on to it. It doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, you have the passing of Belle's mom, obviously after giving birth to her, according to some people. And it's like, you okay? And some people are like, okay, cool. At least you're giving us more background on her family and on who her mom was. And yet, though, for some reason, according to some, but yet you also have people who are like, yeah, that's cool and everything, but it really wasn't necessary. It was better the way it was. And then, to top that all off, according to a lot of people, you use the death of both mothers to parallel something, to kind of be parallel for both the Beast and Belle, to basically say, yeah, see, they are meant for each other. Both their moms died when they were young. It's like, really? You're doing it that way? You're doing it that way? Oh, okay, fine, no problem. All right, fine, no problem. But it's like, but I think the thing is, I think the honest truth is when Disney has decided to do these live action remakes, yes, they try to stay true to what the original animated film was, and that's great. But in the end, all you're really doing is dividing the groups. This new adaptation of Beauty and the Beast might be great for this newer generation of audience, of teenagers and kids and families. That's great. But when you have that same family who the mother and father, when they go and see it with the kid, they're like, okay, isn't this movie? And they look at the watch thinking, whoa, this movie's going way longer than the original. That's when they start feeling a little like, that's when they start kind of thinking to themselves, did Disney have to really add all this on? Did they have to add in this? Did they have to add in that? Did they have to change this? Did they have to change that? Did they have to extend this, extend that? To them, it doesn't make any sense. And I think that's the biggest jarring difference in why a lot of people are kind of split with these live action adaptations. And so it's like you're taking what made the originals good, you're keeping a majority of that, or at least 50 to 75% of that, But you're taking the other 50 and 25% and you're saying, let's either extend it and make it and put more expose in it, more exposition, or let's just remove it altogether. And it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to them. So to me, I think that's the biggest difference. And I think the other big difference as well is, like I said, Disney tries to take these live action remakes of their animated classics and they try to make them into epic movies, to try to make them more epic than the originals, to try to put them on par as possibly being nominated for a Best Picture nomination, because that's the goal of any movie. That's the goal of any movie that's made by Disney, Warner Brothers, whoever, is to try to make that next Best Picture nomination or Best Picture winner at the Oscars. And I think that's why Disney is doing this the way they are. It's because they're trying to get the next big Best Picture nomination, if not winner, for the company. That's why they're doing this. That's why they made Beauty and the Beast basically 45 minutes longer than the original animated film. That's why they made Maleficent 12 minutes longer than the original animated film, or 22 minutes longer than the original animated film, which was Sleeping Beauty. That's why that's why they made the live-action remake of Cinderella longer. Why they made The Jungle Book longer? Because they're trying to make that next epic film. Now, some might say, well, yeah, that's true, Brian. You might be right, but they're also trying to make it more adult-like. They're trying to basically they're trying to make it for a more broader audience. And that's true. That might be true. But really? You're trying to make a movie? You're trying to make these remakes for a more broader audience? Okay, fine. I can accept that. And I'm sure anybody else could accept that. But I think the problem is people look at certain movies, certain animated films of Disney's, and they look at them and they say, you know what? This movie doesn't have to be remade. Or they hear that, oh, this movie's on the list of live-action remakes that will be made, or, that will be made and hit the big screen. And they'll look at that list and they'll be like, no, they don't have to remake this film. This film's fine the way it is. Don't touch it. It's like with The Lion King. Yeah, a lot of people are probably happy The Lion King's going to happen and all that. That's fine. But there's a lot of people that are like, no, don't touch The Lion King. It's perfect the way it is. There's some people that look at The Little Mermaid, and they're like, no, Disney, don't touch your version of The Little Mermaid. It's perfect the way it is. Same with Mulan. They're thinking, no, don't touch Mulan. Don't take out the music. It's perfect the way it is. And the same with Aladdin. They got that in the works. There's a lot of people like, no, Disney, don't touch Aladdin. It's good the way it is. That is the thing. That right there is what really puts this whole thing in perspective. I will agree that there are certain Disney animated classics that don't need to be remade. They don't. They serve their purpose fine as Broadway musicals and Hollywood and in-park stage shows and all that. They serve their purpose perfectly there. But they don't have to be remade. I will agree, not every Disney animated classic needs to be remade. Just because we have this technology and everything doesn't mean we need to use it to remake an animated film, a Disney animated film. I mean, there's no doubt Snow White's on that list. They haven't talked about it yet, but Snow White's on that list of animated films to be remade. Okay? Snow White's on that list. Hunchback of Notre Dame is on that list. Okay? Princess and the Frog's probably on that list. Tangle's probably on that list. But we don't know that yet because those titles have yet to be revealed. Thing is, I will agree there are certain movies, certain Disney animated films that don't need to be remade and they work perfectly fine as they are. Okay? I agree with that. But again, I think the big giant difference here, the big giant situation here with an audience, with an ongoing audience of longtime Disney fans and nostalgic Disney fans and what have you. I think the ongoing issue is the fact that they might be okay with a remake, a live-action remake, but basically they don't want this live-action remake to totally stray away from what made the animated classic what it is. In other words, to them, if you're going to do a live action remake, just do it scene for scene, song for song, line for line, and leave it at that. And I think that's why people are indifferent about this. That's why people have an indifference about Disney's decision to do this. To them, it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like with DC right now. You know, DC is taking all these classic Hanna-Barbera characters and shows, and they're making them more edgier and more modern and more like, you know, whoa, what are we reading here kind of deal in the comic books, you know, through Warner Brothers and through the Hanna-Barbera library. And it's like, you know, there are some people that are cool with it because it's a different take, but then there are some that are like, why? Why would Warner Brothers do this? Why would they allow DC to do this? Not right. In fact, the Looney Tunes, their own characters, the Looney Tunes might be getting in the act as well. But still, it's like, why go there? Why do this? And again, it's all about a difference of opinion. And I think that's something that companies like Disney have to really think about when they decide to do live action remakes. It's like, okay, do we make this a big epic? Do we make this movie and to me, it's like, you know, the next project obviously is Mulan. So the thing to them is, okay, do we make this its own thing and, you know, kind of have a resemblance of the original film, you know, take out the songs but have a resemblance to the original film, but oh, by the way, make it a lot longer, put a little more exposition in it, I should say, and try to make it a big sweeping epic that could become a Best Picture winner? Or do they sit down and say, you know what, maybe we should just keep it? It's like, okay, maybe we should just take out the music, just try to keep it scene for scene, line for line, go from there. I think Disney needs to realize what they're doing. They need to take time and think about what they're doing, because honestly, if they want everybody to be in agreement with this, and then all they have to do is start thinking what works and what doesn't. But again, the reason Beauty and the Beast is getting such a mixed reaction from audiences is because of the fact, like I said, is one main reason is it's 45 minutes longer when it doesn't need to be. And two, you have all these additional moments, additional scenes, exposition, stuff like that some people feel is okay, and then but the other side of that is some feel wasn't necessary. So that's all I'm going to really say on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and I am out.